Hey, I know you guys are New Yorkers, but be nice to me, okay? I'm out here in California, and we just don't do things as hardcore as you guys do out there. So thanks for having me out tonight. I actually came to WordCamp New York City last year and spoke really briefly one of the presentations. So it was, believe it or not, it was my first time in New York City. So yeah. Anyways, I'm going to talk to you guys tonight about, well, Steve asked me to come by and talk about what sort of things set WP Engine apart as a managed hosting provider. When you're looking for hosting for your WordPress site, there's a lot of different options that you have. Briefly, you've got shared hosting. You can go with a VPS, a virtual private server. You can go with a dedicated box, or you can go with the managed WordPress host. In terms of like, I organize those from like entry level to not so entry level, sort of. But managed hosting actually turns out to be a really, really good solution for most people because one, it takes some of the, it takes a lot of the technical know-how and just handles it for you. And it's also scalable. So like we have a lot of really large enterprise companies that we work with on our sites, and that same technology is available to like an end user or a single site that you're setting up. So a shared hosting account is pretty typical. You've got something like Bluehost or DreamHost. You can put as many sites as you want on a single server, and from there you'll basically, you know, they say you have unlimited bandwidth, which is not really true. They'll throttle it after a certain point because they have so many different folks on the same server, and they have to do that in order to more or less just, you know, make their profit margin with things. And support is another one of those things where a shared host will sort of start to break down. Then you've got a virtual private server, which basically means you have a bunch of servers that are daisy chained together for scalability. So you have tons of space to, that you can, you know, in terms of bandwidth, that you can flex out into, but you have to know how to manage that. A dedicated box adds a layer of security to that because it's your box. Nobody else is sharing that bandwidth or that service with you. But again, you have to know how to set that up and manage the security, manage the scalability, know how to configure your CDN and WordPress transients and all sorts of things like that. So a managed host takes care of security, takes care of speed, makes everything scalable for you. Let me switch over to the presentation deck that I've got, and we'll go through some of the things that make WP Engine special. So I've titled this WP Engine is awesome. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. Please don't take my word for any of this. I would invite you all to do your own research. We'll go through and if you guys have questions or concerns, I'm happy to answer them for you. My goal at the end of this is to give you guys a little bit more information about what's the right hosting solution for your needs, and that may or may not be WP Engine or a managed host or a VPS or whatever. But we'll start here and then take your questions afterwards. So this covers like the overview of how fast WordPress is growing right now and why it's an exciting part or an exciting time to be a part of the community. Basically, a third of all WordPress installations. So we're talking 65 million websites, or 1/5 of the internet. All right, so about 20% of the internet is running WordPress, and a third of those sites have been installed within the last year. So like just a massive, massive number of WordPress sites. And to like think about, and the growth is extending to themes and plugins as well. In January 2012, there were 19,000 WordPress plugins. Now there's more than 23,000. I think the number is actually 24,000, but you'd have to just check. So with that growth of WordPress that you guys are a part of, the community is growing. More and more people are putting their sites on WordPress. It's not just for bloggers anymore. People are managing all sorts of diverse content for small businesses, as entrepreneurs, and even enterprise companies are catching on to how valuable WordPress can be, because the fact is that WordPress has gotten so mature as a software platform that you can install it for a large company like Salesforce has a large series of WordPress sites that we manage, and they get better user interaction and better user friendliness, as well as just technical refinement out of WordPress than they would by building their own solution. So WP Engine comes in with all that by being the premium managed hosting platform for websites and applications built with WordPress. And what managed means is we take care of all the back-end stuff, like developer tools, like scalability, like security, and then make it easy for you guys to just manage your theme, manage your design, manage the content that you're producing, and not have to think about all the server stuff on the back end. We power tens of thousands of WordPress sites, delivering really some of the fastest, most reliable, most secure web experience possible. And we've got everybody from bloggers to small businesses that rely on our expertise and our support, all the way to larger businesses, internet marketers, developers and designers, internet entrepreneurs, and then even enterprise sites that we host with us. The reason that we've got so many people across a diverse set of markets interacting with us, I think technology has to be a foundation of that, but one of the ways that we try and differentiate ourselves, and I think we do a really good job of this, is by having the best support experience possible, so that anytime you run into a snag, or there's something confusing about WordPress, or you have a plugin that's conflicting with your theme or another plugin, you can just ping us and go, hey, WP Engine, I need some help here. You'll get in contact with somebody who's friendly, who's classy, who cares about your problem and wants to help you fix it, and go from there. You say something, Steve?
No.
Okay. Here's a couple of companies that you'll recognize that use WP Engine: Google Ventures, VMware, Constant Contact, Foursquare. That K over there is Kaspersky. They're a security firm that lets us manage their sites for them, which says a lot about our security, which we're the only managed host that actually guarantees security, as in you don't have to worry about getting hacked, because we put so much investment and automation and proactivity into our security that even if something does happen, which we don't think it's going to, but even if something does happen, we're going to foot the bill for cleaning it up. And I don't know if anybody out there has been through a WordPress hack and the process of cleaning it up, but it's stressful, it's way more dramatic than it should be, and it's expensive because you have to go hire somebody who knows how to do that sort of cleanup, like Sakuri, who we actually partner with and who monitors all of our customer sites for us. And our security is automated as well, which I'll get into in just a second. So what sets WP Engine apart? Our account managers and our support people are all WordPress experts. We can dedicate people to for expansions and increased efforts for you guys. Nothing really beats being able to pick up the phone or file a ticket and get somebody who cares and can answer your questions quickly. The speed of WP Engine is one of those things that we're known for. People migrating over from any host, including other managed hosts, will see a 2 to 4x speed increase in their page load times. And this is because we've built a custom caching engine called EverCache. It's WordPress specific, and it's capable of serving pages in 15 milliseconds. That's absurdly fast. And speed, if you didn't know this already, speed is one of those things that Google actually takes into account in their algorithms. So you'll see your Google rankings increase when your page speed goes up. No overloaded servers like a shared host would give you, where you've got tons and tons and tons of other websites on the same server, and they're not all WordPress sites. They're a bunch of different types of sites, and they're all sucking up bandwidth and trying to crowd each other out for speed. Part of EverCache is a fully managed CDN. And because we host so many different sites, we're always refining the caching, so things are getting better and better and better, and you've always got the benefit of knowing that there's of thousands of other WordPress sites that are constantly contributing to our knowledge base as a host. Scalability is also built into EverCache. It's designed to protect Apache so that it doesn't get overloaded from requests, and leverage another server technology called Nginx. We've always got extra capacity allocated to servers, and we know how to weather the unexpected. Like one of the examples is we've seen an individual site surge to 15,000 simultaneous visitors. So 15,000 people are looking at the same content every second. That's amazing. We host a music festival in Tennessee called Bonnaroo, and when they released their lineup recently, we served 100 million HTTP requests in less than 12 hours. Site speed was always less than a second and a half. And then going on to security. We block malicious IP addresses and malicious patterns. We're constantly doing scanning for malware and security. I remember when I joined WP Engine, I knew that we had all this automated stuff, but I didn't actually know how it worked. And I was creating a site for Cigar Camp, which is a party that I host for WordCamp Austin, and we installed a theme on there. And I got this email. We were working on this kind of late at night. I installed the theme at like midnight, went to sleep a little while later, and then I woke up the next morning and saw I had an email that came in, an automated email from our servers at 4 a.m. that said, "Yo, Austin, we saw that you installed this theme on your WordPress install, and it had the old malicious version of Tim Thumb that has a big vulnerability in it. We noticed this, and we've already fixed the code for you proactively. So we actually have an automated fix for bugs like that. We'll do it. We'll let you know that it happened, and you literally have to do nothing else. Your site is just protected." We logically separate customers from one another. Now, what that means is on most hosts, when you're sharing a server, you're not actually logically separated. So databases, like one database for one WordPress site, can be penetrated by files from your database, and this, you'll notice, is happening like hacks. Your site might be fully up to date, but somebody else's on your server might not be, and the hack can actually jump databases and get onto your site even though you've been following best practices for security. It's also why we automatically update all of our customer sites to WordPress as well. So let's say you got 30 or 40 sites that you're hosting. You never have to think about that again, which is great. Non-WordPress functions are locked down on the server, as in they're not taking up server space. We take automatic daily backups of everything. So you've always got a backup that you can go to, and you can create your own backup as well. Our support is really where things get amazing. We have the largest support staff of WordPress experts per customer of any host. We manage all WordPress updates for you. We help with performance issues, so when you file a ticket, you're not sure what's going on. We'll actually help you figure out how to streamline the processes of your site, make it even faster than it already is. And anytime there's an emergency, there's a site down, pick up the phone, give us a call, and we'll get you back online, and do it with a smile on our face. Keep the situation under control. We've also got a really great set of developer tools that make it amazingly easy for you to save time in your development environment if you're a developer or you're hiring a developer. We have a feature called Git Push, which is version control and deployment, fully integrated with WordPress. Nobody else has version control fully integrated this way, where you just ask us and we'll set it up for you, and it just happens. A lot of other hosts will use SVN and other things like that, but you have to manually set those up yourselves. We have a one-click staging area, so you want to play around with your code base, but you don't want it to show up on your production site. Just click the button, hit the staging area, pops up. When you're ready, if you like the code or the design on your staging area, there's another button. You click once, and it pushes that all live, which is fantastic. If you need to restore your site from a backup, that's another button. That's another just like button that's done. Automated backups of the database and files. So let's say that you need to change the files because you didn't or you need to restore from the files that because you changed part of the theme, but you don't want to lose the content that somebody's published on your site in the last couple of hours. You can just restore the files and not the database, and not lose any of your other work. We have technology that satisfies enterprise requirements for hardware and software, but we have a community focus, and that means that everybody who signs up with us gets the benefit of the enterprise focus at the personal level, at the small business level. Our level of service doesn't really change based on the price point that you're at. So, to wrap it up, a few things to remember. WP Engine has the experience, tech, and infrastructure to give you peace of mind with your WordPress site so that you can focus on your content and on your customers and not have to worry about being a sysadmin and a DevOps manager. You never have to worry about how you're going to weather the next traffic spike or stop the next hacker, because we're always taking care of that. And you've always got an expert to call when things don't go as planned. So with that, if we've got time, let's take some questions.
I was wondering if your service can protect from spam, from spam emails.
So the question is, can the service protect from spam emails?
Spam comments also.
Spam comments. Particularly because like Kismet isn't doing such a great job of protecting against spam comments anymore.
Yes.
So we don't actually have anything set up for spam comments. There's another plugin, I'd have to look it up. There's another plugin that we recommend that you stack on top of a Kismet, because I'm not sure what's changed with them recently, but I've noticed a lot more spam comments coming through. At the bare minimum, you need to have a Kismet set up, which has to this point been an amazing standard for spam commenting. But there's another plugin, and I have to look it up. It's slipping my mind right now that I would recommend that you can install. If you want me to look that up later, I'm happy to do that. But spam comments aren't one of those things that that are protected from a security standpoint. We're more looking at malware and spyware and viruses that people would drop into a WordPress site and hijack code, putting up like Viagra ads and robbing your SEO. Whereas a comment, it's annoying. You have to hit spam on it, but those aren't necessarily things that are actually going to destroy your site's code base. They're not going to ruin your SEO that you've worked really, really hard to build up. And so we haven't focused as much of our efforts on preventing those, because they're more like, from a priority standpoint, that hits more like the nuisance standpoint than the, oh my gosh, my world just came crashing down sort of thing.
Thank you. You have a question? Yeah.
Yeah. How does Google look at your site in terms of indexing for the sites at your company versus the other platforms? Because your users are likely to be more savvy. So is there any differential there in terms of how people would look at sites coming from your enterprise versus coming from the other types of platforms?
Are there any differences between Google looking at sites using WP Engine versus sites using other hosting companies?
Other than speed, you're talking about, are there any benefits to like SEO benefits to using WP Engine as your host as opposed to another hosting platform?
Or detractors. Or
detractors.
Or detractors.
Or what?
Detractors?
Well, less benefits.
Disadvantages.
Are there any disadvantages to using WP Engine versus others?
Well, their users are likely to be more savvy. They're likely to be better SEO. So Google might look at these people differently.
So I think I hear what you're about, having a savvy user base at WP Engine, and certainly a lot of really, really well-known WordPress developers make it really easy for their customers to migrate sites over to WP Engine. Like I don't know, Bill Erickson, Mark Cakewood hosts a lot of stuff with WP Engine. By no means are any of the developers that we work with exclusive to WP Engine. There's plenty of other hosts that people choose to go with. We do have a savvy user base because of the developer tools that we offer. They make large-scale or best practice development environments so much easier for a developer. But we also work with a lot of folks who may just be learning WordPress or may not want to learn very much about WordPress because they just want to get their site up, and they won't, because they've got other things to worry about with their business or the work that they're doing, and they just want to have a site, know that it's up, know that it's fast, know that it's beautiful, and know that they can update it when they want, and then the rest of it, update the content that they want, but they don't have to update the WordPress version. They don't have to worry about a security patch that's going to come out last minute. They're going to have to drop everything and put up on their site so they won't get hacked. So there's a lot of things like that for the end user that we've done as well, because we know that not everybody's in that like 5% of technical geniuses that are computer wizards and can make everything happen. And we do have a lot of features that cater to those developers because they're the folks who are building lots and lots and lots of websites, and they need things to automate their development processes. But automatically updating WordPress, having backups, and then having a really great support staff for you to rely on those are some of the biggest things that you can ask for as an end user who, you know, may still be like gaining confidence in how good you think you are with WordPress. Chances are you're actually better than you are, particularly if you're spending time at meetups and talking to people that way. So, you know, good job participating. But there's a lot of benefit to somebody who's still getting their feet wet to hosting with a platform like WP Engine.
Any other questions?
Oh
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than acting as a WordPress CDN management platform, do you support other CDN type of support regarding streaming, video? So for instance, if you can you do live transcoding? Can you take uploads video that go into your WordPress database? Can you act as the deliverer side or distribution on streaming? Or do you have to use a third party that you get a publishing point that then you point your site to, or some embed code? Can you actually act in the capacity of the CDN for streaming?
So we can actually, for images and video, so folks that are streaming a lot of content that way, we have something that we've developed for that. It's called Large FS. And it syncs up with servers that are designed to hold large media files and then stream those to your customers. And that's something else that I didn't mention that in the presentation, but that's something that we could talk to you more about if you're curious. You can send me an email. But yeah, we can cater to that need as well.
You support? Is that the Wowzer server you support?
Say again?
Wowzer server? Is that what one of the?
It's called Large FS.
Right, but Large FS then ties into servers that support that large capacity. One of them, Wowzer, I'm inquiring if that rings a bell or.
It's not Wowzer.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I'm wondering about updates.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people who own websites, they don't actually do any of the updating for versions or plugins. So I'm wondering if that's a service that you would take care of.
So what's the question?
You do, what updates do you do? WordPress themes or plugins?
So we...
Website, they don't usually update the version of WordPress or the plugin. So I'm wondering if that's a service that you provide.
So we update WordPress version automatically. Anytime there's a major version release, you have a couple of weeks to test that against the code on your site, so your plugins and your themes. Usually those are, you get a lot of advance notice about like 3.6, like when WordPress 3.6 is going to drop. You're going to get a lot of notice about that. And so you want testing that proactively on the staging area in advance, and then once it drops, then we'll give customers about 2 weeks to do their final testing, and then we'll auto update everybody to the latest version of WordPress. Now, when there's a security patch, those come through. We know about those in advance because we're on a special list that the WordPress.org team who finds a security patch and updates it. We're on a special list, and we test those updates well in advance. So when they were dropped, they also document what the vulnerability was, and so hackers know why something was vulnerable, and so then they can automate an attack and just send that out across IP address blocks and start attacking sites. So WP Engine, we do what's called a 0-hour update, and every managed host does this, by the way. Is when the security release drops, everybody pulls they've already tested it. Everybody updates, but those releases only fix the security patch and don't conflict with plugins and themes. Now for theme and plugin updates, we don't update those for you because we don't know what your custom code is, and it wouldn't be responsible for a managed host to just be automatically updating everybody's plugins and automatically updating everybody's themes. Now what we do is we make it as easy as possible for you to update all at once from within the dashboard, so that you don't have to go through a bunch of sites and just like manually click for a couple of hours, particularly if you're managing a lot of different sites. And we can help you figure out if there's going to be any conflicts with those from time to time as well, if you need help with that. So in answer to your question, WordPress versions we update for you. WordPress plugins and themes, we leave that in the user's controls.
Question? Sebastian, question? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I am a small designer and developer, and my clients are predominantly small businesses. And while I know your services are totally worth the money, I was wondering if there were like affordable maybe options for just support or something for a case like, you know, for my smaller clients.
So you're asking if we do if we separate out the services so that you could get just the support option without the without paying for the hosting?
Yeah.
So we don't actually offer anything like that. I have a recommendation for you though. There's a couple different folks that I would tell you to look at. It's something that we might do in the future. Do you host any sites with us right now?
No, not currently, no.
Okay. I feel like you should see, like, you should try it out at some point. I don't know what your your pricing structure looks like, and I certainly don't want to run your business because you know that a lot better than I do. But I would recommend that you at some point figure out, find some client that you can afford to move over to WP and just see what the difference is, because the time that it may save you, as a somebody who I'm assuming bills by the project or by the hour, it may be beneficial. Just to sort of plant that bug in your ear and then leave it at that. But I would recommend that you look into WP Valet and Exegy. Those are a couple of places that do support as a service. Exegy is EXEGY. And WP Valet is fantastic. We work with them a lot. And they have monthly plans to manage support and things like that, so you can free up some of that time. Their pricing structures are they're not cheap, but you're getting a certain number of hours a month, and you can hop on the phone and get consults and things like that. And they're experts. Their time is very worth it. And like I said, we work with them personally, so I can comfortably recommend either one of those to you. I think at some point in the future we may think about how we could offer that as offer services as well. But the thinking up till now has been that we want to make sure that we're just giving our support as part of the service that people are paying for, and they're getting that value out of working with us. And if it were one of those situations where we were separately charging for support, then at some point it might be one of those things like where you call into Apple and you're like, hey, my iPhone's broken. And they're like, oh, you're out of your 90-day window. You can sign up for a month of unlimited support for $30 or whatever. And we don't really want to put anybody in that sort of situation. We just want to make sure that you're just getting the support that you need to keep your sites up and running. That's been the thinking thus far anyways.
We'll take one more question.
Well, for someone who's a total novice, doesn't know anything about this, it would probably be one of those customers who just wants to worry about their content. What is the best way to learn WordPress and not over-learn or let's go.
I'm not sure that's a question for
Austin. We can answer that afterwards.
I can actually give you a couple answers to that question. So I don't know about overlearning WordPress. My recommendation for you is to go in and just break things and figure stuff out. So I would actually go to codecademy.com. And you can start out with the HTML and the CSS lessons on codecademy.com. They're very bite-sized. You can do, you can spend 15, 20 minutes a night. You can spend an hour a night. You can spend however much time you want learning the structures of like HTML and CSS. And understanding those will give you such a good framework to come at WordPress and go, aha, now I understand what the difference is between the WYSIWYG editor and the post and the text editor where I can actually add my own code in. And then when you're comfortable with that, you can learn about PHP and other things like that. And you know, I would figure out how to break that up into small chunks, and then find somebody in the room like Steve, I think he's over there, who you can talk to, and you know, ask him a question every couple of weeks and be like, yo, I was trying to figure this out, and be nice about it, and then go get enough of an answer that you're sort of confused, but you're going to remember it, or you can write it down, and then go off and play with it, and then come back and be like, look, I broke it, but I learned something. And I think that's the way all good developers like learn code. The only common quality that I've met in like developers and sysadmin who like got really good and then started making a lot of money with it, where they were just like, they just refused to take it's broken for an answer or take no for an answer. They were just like, no, damn it, I'm gonna figure this out if it kills me. So I would just you know, suggest that you cultivate that mindset, because it's all math, it's all logic, it's all in there, and you know, you can figure it out, and you're displaying enough initiative by showing up to learn in the first place that if you can just sort of make sure that you're moving the ball forward a little bit week by week, there's a lot to learn, and there's no reason to get discouraged if for a while you get confused by something, because you can always Google an answer, you can always ask on Twitter, you can always come to a WordPress meetup and be like, I'm so stumped here. And that's how I would answer that question.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Austin. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you on YouTube.